Hey guys, just wanted to talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter because that was the subject of our live stream last night. So, oh boy, do I hate Black Lives Matter. So let me tell you how I got sucked into Black Lives Matter from beginning to end. So, okay, let's see. Trayvon Martin got shot by that Zimmerman guy. And, of course, the whole media blew up about it, saying, oh my gosh, racism, racism, racism. And this is just after this is literally right after liberals kept saying for God knows how long that oh my gosh, racism will never exist again now that we have a black president. So Trayvon Martin gets shot and essentially sparks this whole race war against white people and basically anybody else that's not black or not black sympathizers. So what's interesting is Black Lives Matter pops up as an organization. And I think I'm in either high school or middle school at this point. And I remember saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter, woohoo! And I never really questioned it. And said, okay, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Well, they do matter as a black person saying that. So I just remember, everybody in my school was like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, yeah! And not very many people spoke against it, because if you did speak against it, and this is now in high school, I specifically remember if you did speak against Black Lives Matter, you were considered a racist. Of course, these are all liberal social justice points. So, Black Lives Matter over the next couple of years has grown into this really big organization. I always believed in Black Lives Matter, but I didn't really question it because I didn't really question the rhetoric. All I just saw was the hashtag, and all I saw was the movement, and I didn't really look inside the movement. And I didn't see it for what it really was. So, over time, conveniently, I might add, the media kept explaining these stories on how black kids were getting shot by cops and everything else. And then I do remember specifically when I was in high school, this was actually talked about by a classmate of mine. I think he was a year older than me. And he goes, well, when you look at statistics, and he was quoting his mom or something like that. My mom said that, and he actually, I think he even pulled up the article on his back then really dumb smartphone, and he goes, look, the amount of times black people kill black people is more than the amount of times white people kill black people. And I go, yeah, that's bullshit, because look at the media. I mean, every other week there was another cop shooting a black person, and that's all that was talked about in the media. That's all it was talked about, and I never questioned it. Never throughout high school, even through college. My first, second, and let's see, yeah, my first and second years of college specifically, I never really questioned Black Lives Matter. I was like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, and then so when I got elected my first year of college into sophomore senator, so I'm a freshman that I got elected into sophomore senator. So the next school year I was in office, so I'm an elected official. Towards the end of that term, so June of 2016, this the name Trump started to come up, and I'm like, maybe Black Lives Matter isn't such a great idea, but I still said, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. So, and people, everyone around my classes agree with me. Duh. I mean, why wouldn't they agree with me? It's like Black Lives Matter. And I do remember saying all lives matter on a whim at some point, because I'm like, well, if that's the case, and all these other hashtags are popping up like Asian Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, and stuff like that, which were of course all considered racist. I didn't really believe so. I said all lives matter because of all these other hashtags were popping up, and I was told that, well, that's kind of racist. It's like, well, how is it racist? Because if these lives matter, why can't these lives matter? So, you know, enter my junior year of college, and this is when Trump gets elected, right? And at this point, I'm slowly turning more towards a conservative angle, and I voted for the president, for the now current president. I voted for Donald Trump. And at the time, I was still thinking, yeah, this guy's kind of a dick. I don't really like this guy. But as a businessman, and me being a business owner, I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of think what he's saying is correct. I don't hate the one. I mean, I hated the 1%, but I hated him for the wrong reasons. And I certainly did not want to elect Hillary, but I certainly did not want to vote for Hillary. That is for damn sure, because of all the illegal activities and her contradicting statements and her blatantly lying about Benghazi and when she was landing under sniper fire and stuff like that. So she kept endorsing these movements like Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement. And I'm thinking, yeah, there's something just not right about it. There's something just not right about it. So let's see, in February of 2017, so a month after Trump's inauguration, I finally said, yeah, Black Lives Matter is kind of stupid, because I actually started looking at the facts a little bit deeper, and I finally figured out that it's such a fraudulent organization, and one of it, because I watch stand-up comedians. This is kind of a side note. I watch stand-up comedians, and you watch how they do bits, and they fake anger. They everything is satire. They make up some story, and they super exaggerate certain points. And I like to do that when I'm talking around my friends. I people tell me all the time in my close friend groups that I could be a stand-up comedian, because I just say the most bizarre crap and exaggerate the most asinine things. It's like, whoa, that's kind of funny. And I always like to talk about Black Lives Matter, even though I was kidding at some points. They're like, dude, that's freaking hilarious. But I've never, even when I do like my little stand-up bits in front of my really close conservative friends, I've never, ever, ever had to fake anger since I became a conservative towards Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is just such fraud in one of the most racist organizations I have ever seen. Oh my God. So I started looking into it. Uh, they hate white people. They hate anybody who doesn't conform to Black Lives Matter. I mean, especially white people. Even though in Western countries, Asians and Indians, which Indians are technically Asian, hold the most amount of wealth. I mean, and there are some of the richest people and some of the most successful people in the United States. I mean, nobody talks about that, but fuck white people apparently. So, I keep seeing these things like, well, Black Lives Matter, like they hate cops, they hate white people, they hate this, they hate that, they hate this, and I started looking into the facts, and statistically speaking, this is so great. More black people, or excuse me, I have to say it right. Black people kill more black people than white people kill black people. And that's kind of interesting. You are literally more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to be killed by a cop. Not by a white cop, not by a black cop, by a cop. You are more likely to be shot to be struck by lightning than to be shot by a cop. And I started realizing this, and I'm like, wow, what a racist, fraudulent organization. Yes, I need $1 trillion to buy a car. It's like, well, why? Because black people can't afford it. It's like, oh God. Well, okay. Well, what else? Like, what else are you gonna need the money for? Well, we need money for books and college. It's like, okay, how about you earn your way into college instead of getting a stupid get out of or get into jail free card and frauding the system with your bullshit affirmative action. And they go, well, no, that's racist. And it's like, oh my God. They hate cops. They've attacked cops. They've attacked white people. And then, of course, white people, I hate to say it, are dumb enough to fall into that. They're so dumb that especially white liberals, they fall into this stupid ideology that black people are better than them. Nobody's better than anybody. There's a great quote that I quote from one of my friends. He says, God doesn't make junk. And I don't specifically believe in God in itself, but that is a great statement. No, junk isn't just created. You create junk from what you've been created. So nobody's born stupid, right? And yet these organizations totally, completely and totally defraud people. Asking for reparations from white people because slavery happened 200 years ago. Trying to up white people from getting into college simply because they're white. And to get into college because they're black. Oh, that is a big problem. That is pure racism. That's why I say Black Lives Matter is one of the most racist organizations I've possibly ever seen in my entire life. And it is so bad. One of the leaders of Black Lives Matter has come out and said, it came up with a list of 10 demands for white people, and basically it's just ripping them in half and saying, oh yeah, well, if you're racist, you deserve to be fired. Well, how do you even know if they're racist? And if they are, I mean, they're still qualified to do that job. So, just why should they be fired? And then put a black person who's not qualified into said organization. It doesn't really make any sense. If they're a racist, okay, fine, they're an asshole, but they're still qualified to do the work that they're doing. That doesn't mean that they deserve to get fired. If they break company policy, then that means they deserve to get fired. Not because they're a racist. That white people should give up all their homes and give it to a black or brown family. I'm like, okay, so basically you're telling me that if the white person down the street from me, just right down there, is more wealthy than me, then he should give up everything he has to me, even though I haven't worked for it. That doesn't make any sense. And then one of the points was, oh, well, if you when you die, consider donating your money, or having a black or brown family inheriting a white person's money. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. So, but one of the things that Black Lives Matter likes to do is they love to pull up statistics about well, I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, but I'll just make up some right here. So these are hypothetical numbers. 26% of black people go to jail. Okay, and then they say in that same sentence, 10% of white people go to jail. Okay, let's take a look at that statement right there. I study statistics. That number is correct. The percentages is correct. However, if you take the populations, they are not correct. So I call it fake stats. It's twisted, spun, fake facts. Or it's not a fake fact. It's more like, how do I put this? It's like a spun out of proportion fact. So look at the population. When you have 10,000 people in one group, and then you say 2,600 got arrested, then yes, that's what is that? 26%. Okay, so 2,600 out of 10,000, that's 26%. But if you have 1 million people, and like, I don't know, I said 26 and 10%. If you have 1 million people and 100,000 people that got arrested, that's 10%. So 2,600 out of 10,000 is 10 or 26%. 100,000 out of 1 million is 10%. Now, why do I bring that up? Because if you look at the numbers, more people let's say the 100,000 people were white and the 2,600 people were black. Okay. 100,000 white people out of a million recorded got arrested. 2,600 out of 10,000 got arrested for black people. So literally, by the numbers themselves, more white people go to jail. I can unpack that statistically. That's why I call it spun out fake statistics, because it's correct. Yeah, true if you look at the percentages, but then of course they don't go into the population. They don't go into the end value, which is population, or the sample size, or whatever. And it's a really stupid thing that liberals do, because they know the facts. They know that that number is so blown out of proportion. It's like saying, you know, well, here's a good example. In the United States, there is a 1%. If you make over $1 million a year, you're basically considered part of the 1%. So that's off of the United States population alone, okay? But if you look at the entire world and you look at all of the countries' wealth, then what you're saying is the 1% for the United States is like 0.00001%, okay? By being in the United States by itself, even if you're quote unquote below the poverty line, which, by the way, when you say poverty, it's insulting to actually impoverished nations to call yourself, I'm below the poverty line in the United States. It's insulting. And yet, when you say, I'm below the poverty line in the United States, you still have that. Look, if you still have a flip phone, and if you have any kind of TV or any kind of car, or even if you take the bus and you say you're below the poverty line, what? That's still insulting to actual impoverished countries. My God. So when you look at the world's population, 7.7 billion people, and then if you're watching this in the United States, you're one of 330 to 350 million people according to the census. 330 to 350 million people in the damn United States. You are part of the above 2% in the world. So, when these Black Lives Matter activists, these fraudulent racist activists say, well, black people are historically below the poverty line. Well, that's American standards of poverty when you have to break out a flip phone that costs you $10 a month versus $100 a month for a iPhone XS YZ, whatever it is. It's incredibly stupid, which is why I absolutely hate Black Lives Matter. They blow out all, they spin all statistics, and they say that it's fact, which technically it is statistically when you look at the percentages alone, but they don't go into the facts because they know because they know their narrative will be absolutely destroyed in an instant when people say, well, more white people went to jail, if it's true, if that's even true. More white people go to jail than black people because of the population numbers. I mean, hello? Good grief. So, again, Black Lives Matter is such fraud, and people who believe in that crap, honestly, are some of the dumbest people, because they've created this rhetoric against white people and against Asians, and they hate cops. Like, it's incredibly stupid, guys. I cannot believe it. Black Lives Matter is a fraudulent, racist organization, and it needs to be taken down. And this is coming from a black person, okay? Black Lives Matter is the worst. And I will say that if a White Lives Matter organization, the same type of organization and everything, pops up, I will look at it very, very closely. But I will say that if they do what Black Lives Matter has done, then that's also a racist organization. But if they did start a White Lives Matter organization, they would be ones. They would be the ones to be called racist, sexist, misogynist, all the ist, ick, and ism words you could possibly think of. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Black Lives Matter. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that in our live stream last night, but I just didn't really get a chance to because I've been going on for 20 minutes about it. And again, this only goes to show I can talk about this for about 3 hours straight. This is only 20 minutes. I'm only just getting started. I'm gonna I'm gonna end the video pretty much right now by saying we need to really stop believing in Black Lives Matter, and we need to help black people wake up from the stupid bullcrap that we call liberalism, and get them over to either moderate or conservative, going and bringing them back, keyword back, to the Republican Party, because the Republican Party has always been the party of freedom and civil rights every single time. Every single time. Are there radical or are there racist Republicans? Absolutely. Are there racist Democrats? Oh, yeah. You look at today. Look at today. Look at some of the policies that they've done. Look at some of the organizations that they endorse, like Black Lives Matter. Look at some of the people that Black Lives Matter endorses. It's absolute bullcrap, guys. So, anyways, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. You can also find me on Dose of Dion or Real Dose of Dion or whatever it's called on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. So anyways, thanks guys for watching, and remember, we need to take down Black Lives Matter as an organization because it's racist and it's fraud. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys.